everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Today we are on chapter 24 of our 66-day challenge. It's often said that 66 days are needed to form a habit. So what we ask you to do is to take your comments or your applications or how the scripture spoke to you, drop that or leave that in the comment section below, and I will leave my notes and the things that I got in the comment section below also, so that you can look through that really easily or call it back to memory. What we want to do today is go a little bit in depth and kind of dive down to get some of the meat out of chapter 24. So if you're a nerd, and unless you're a nerd, you may not like it very much, but if you are a nerd, just tune in and we'll kind of dig into some of the things that the Bible teaches. And then we'll end with an application. So one of the first things that it kind of mentions is Paul gets in an argument. And he does it in such an amazing way. So if you ever want to have an argument, here's how to do it, right? Number one thing, what does he do? He compliments his accusers. He compliments his accusers. So that's something that we should do. If somebody has something against us, let's compliment them. And then he finds common ground. Number two, finds common ground with his enemy. He says, you have said this, I also believe that. And once he found that common ground, number three, the third thing that he did is he planted his stake where it was different. So he says, look, you said this, I don't think this is right, and I'm different in this way. He pulled out the weak part of the argument from his accuser, and he said, I don't think this is true. I actually have a different belief, and that's what Paul did. So he complimented, he found common ground, and he took the thread of the argument that he thought was weak or that he didn't agree with or that he had different views on, and then now he's about to speak to that uncommon thread. And as he begins to speak, lastly, he doesn't skimp out on the truth. So he goes straight to the main point of the argument. And he may hurt some people's feelings, but then again, that's what in this moment he was called to do. He was called to speak the truth. And sometimes the truth is difficult to hear. I thought that was very interesting. Secondly, this is one of the applications that I got from this. We believe that Paul was about 34 on the road to Damascus when he became a Christian, okay? So we think this because he studied under Gamaliel, but he only taught for 5 years, from about AD 15 to about AD 20. Well, if Jesus died in AD 33, then Paul would have been about 34 when Stephen was killed. And from all the events that we see in Acts, we believe that he was 58 when he appears before Felix in chapter 24. So, he is an old man at this time. It is said that in this chapter, Felix was familiar with the followers of the way. Now, how do you know that, you may ask? I'm not totally sure, but I have my thoughts, and here it is. It's because 10 years before this happened to Paul, history tells us that the Jews got kicked out of Rome because they followed Christus, spelled Chrestus, possible reference for Christ. Therefore, many Romans did not like or were confused about the Jewish people following this Christus, which I think was miswritten and it should have been Christ. This is why I think Festus was already familiar and he knew about the Christians and why he wanted to wait till Lystra to hear about them. Also, I think Festus already knew about it because he is mentioned in Acts chapter 21, verses 31, 33, 37, chapter 22, verses 24, 26, 28, 27, and 29, chapter 23, verses 10, 15, 17, 19, 22, and chapter 24, verse 22. By the way, I know that's all pretty nerdy, so let me just finish with my application. Here's my application. Is that Felix put Paul in jail for 2 years because he wanted a bribe, but Paul would not give him a bribe. And he also wanted favor with the Jews, which he would actually get. Felix was not only illegal in keeping Paul in prison, but he was immoral for keeping Paul in prison. It was unfair to Paul. It was wasting Paul's time, wasting Paul's life, unjust, illegal, wrong. The application that I got really is just that. Like, I've been there. Time of my life wasted with either COVID or messing up my school plans, or failing a class, years of my life wasted, maybe because somebody treated me unjustly. And I've not really been treated too unjustly, to be honest. But I know many people listening have. People wronged you unjustly, maybe illegally, immorally, wasted your time, years, months of your life, never to be regained. Maybe because they wanted favor with somebody else, or maybe because they wanted you to give them something in return, like we see what happens with Felix and Paul. But my application in this passage is just that. For some reason, wrong or right, I find comfort in knowing the Apostle Paul went and dealt with the same things that we go through in our life. So that's what I got out of chapter 24, and I hope it spoke to you as much as it spoke to me. So thank y'all so much for tuning in, and until next time with chapter 25. Peace.